And welcome back, bookworms and listeners. You're here for day five, discussion, recap, whatever we're doing. Pretty sure it's a recap. We'll talk about interlude seven and eight, and then all of day five. We are going to spoil the entirety of the Cosmere, except for the rest of Wind and Truth, although I don't see a whole lot of spoilers coming, except maybe Mistborn, and that's really it. So, rest assured, that's what we're going for. Right. Here with me is not the standard Trevor. It's a different model. CJ, hello.
Hi.
Welcome. Welcome back. It does seem that the first time you're on for a series, Trevor is absent. So I'm glad we have the same parallel.
Yep.
Griff is also not here. I hope he gets in contact with me soon. Perhaps he will see this video and contact me. I know he's alive, so that's good. I do have that, but I don't know anything else. So we are going to dive into it. Let's see, hold on. When is this going to come out? This is going to come out. Um, Hold on. That was loud, but you know,
Oh,
sometimes
didn't
you
come
gotta
through
say,
on my end.
great. Never mind, that wasn't loud at all. I'm gonna forget to cut that. We're going,
Artificial intelligence, man. It blows
yeah,
my mind.
it does, right? It just, there it goes. So this is gonna come out on the 12th or 13th or 14th, somewhere around there. But
By the 14th, it will be out.
yes, most likely, unless I choose otherwise. But the backer kit for the Cosmere RPG is going to remain open through January. So that's important, if you're sitting there on the fence like, "Oh, I don't know, is it already closed?" And then you listen to our episode and you know it's not closed. They did charge cards. That's cool. Also, the State of the Sanderson is up, full of neat stuff. If you haven't, I know Raffo did a video of it. Probably go watch his because I don't think we're going to do a video anytime soon about it. But he actually has a spreadsheet of everything all the percentage of words he cut from each chapter of Wind and Truth,
Yeah, that was super
which
cool.
there were a lot of words, a
Yeah.
lot, and that shows.
Yeah.
And
There's no table of contents in this book. In the physical. I mean, there is a table, but it's like chapter one, chapter two. It's not
oh,
chapter 55, prayers, heavens, and songs, and all of that, because it would have added length.
wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Well,
No Ars Arcanum either. We are
yes,
we are
yeah,
owed a Chris. There's a lot that Chris needs to talk about from this book.
yep, yep. That would be, and we're about to talk about one of those things right now.
I was like, wait, let me make sure. Yeah, this is interlude seven when we get there, man. Oh,
Interlude 7. So the interludes up until this point have been almost more revelatory than um,
yeah.
the rest of the story. Almost. There have been some. The beginning with Shallan was pretty solid. I really enjoyed Shallan's interactions with Kalek. But then the interlude that happened right after that, after day one, where Kalek is captured. Whoa, that's the first twist. Okay, so interlude one has my attention. Oh, interlude two, the broken god. Didn't we have or the God divided or whatever? Didn't we have something about a broken one reigning
Mhm.
in a
Death
death
rattle.
rattle?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Three of 16 ruled, but now the broken one reigns.
Yeah,
Mm.
damn. So the interludes have increasingly, or at least stayed, their momentum is high.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
with Moash's interlude, I what? What do you got?
Well, I was gonna pick it whether you think I think we talked about this last time or when one of the times when I was on before, but whether L's interlude monkeys with chronology.
Right.
Because in Rhythm of War, you have the musings of El on the first day about the new god, but then he's finding out on day two about the new god. So he can't have mused on the first day about a
Yep.
god he didn't. So, I mean, maybe it's set before, but the way that Odium talks to him in Cultivation, it feels like it's day one, then day two. So I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. And that it is weird. It's I'm sure somebody can do some mental kung fu to get through and rationalize that. I think the simple explanation that it is out of order
Yeah.
chronologically is just simple, and but I'm sure if anybody would like to write down that question and then go to Nexus and make sure you ask Sanders. Actually, he should be doing a
Yeah.
spoiler stream sometime in the first quarter. Is
Yeah.
they usually do one every few months.
Yeah, we missed out on his birthday one. He was tired. I was like, I'm gonna sleep tonight, guys.
Wow,
Yep.
that's huh. He probably also wouldn't have done spoilers for Wind and Truth either. His
Probably not.
last year's
Or
what would have been Sunlit
yeah.
Man, and he was like, "No spoilers on Sunlit Man. We'll do a dedicated stream for Sunlit Man."
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'd even have to go back and look at exactly what L says versus his
Mhm.
epigraphs. Maybe I'm sure somebody out there, or maybe in the comments will explain that to us. But so for Mo, I was very excited when I turned the page and I saw Moash uh,
Yeah.
on the interlude screen. I'm gonna say screen.
Absolutely.
It's a page. I was like, oh yeah,
Mine was a screen.
yeah, nice, nice. That makes sense. We're in the 21st century sometimes. Um,
Accompanied by those arches, man. Like as those
that was
arches
sick.
change, start day to day.
That was
Like
sick.
we had talked about the beginning of it in day two, and then you get to, day five, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is
Yeah.
happening?
Are we even going to be able to determine whose faces are there after? No.
Right.
Yeah. Day five, you still can though. Uh, we won't go through those because that would take an extraordinary amount of time. Too much time.
Fair.
But Moash is there and he's like, I feel bad. Odium, why are you letting me feel bad? And Odium goes, you're a hero, and feeling things is the right thing to do. You need to feel things so that you can be a hero. And listen, if the Blackthorn doesn't serve me, you're up. You're gonna go bat. You're gonna go bat the rest of the Cosmere for me,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And then Vire's like, hell yes. And then Dova, who Teravangian had just talked to in Interlude 6, right?
You're right. Yeah. I keep saying, wait a minute, wait a minute. Is it Dova? Yeah. Okay. No, it's Batar.
It's Batar, who's also known as Dova.
Oh, you're right. Okay, thank you. I was like,
You're
wait,
welcome.
the names. People have too many names in
I
this
know.
series.
I know, right? Zeth's son Villano, Zeth's son
Zeth's son Naturo, Zeth's son
Naturo,
Honor,
Truthless of Shinovar.
Zeth's son Lirin. Wait, what?
That happened right before Interlude 7, right? Lyran adopted
Yeah.
Zeth. Yeah. Uh,
Gosh.
and then so Dova comes over, and we had just talked about spikes,
Yeah.
crystal spikes.
Yeah.
And Dova's like, here, Vire. And tap, 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 tap. And now Vire, Moash, can see investiture. Specific in this case, he can see Spren, right? And I expect he can also see Stormlight in somebody. And
Yep.
also, when a high storm passes over, I bet he can't look outside. Uh, I'll remember that for sure. Okay. And
Yeah.
then, do you remember anything else happening that was specifically important there?
I mean, not in particular. I mean, we did. it's important for me that Batar seems to be continuing with the deal. Um, I really think it's super interesting how Taravangian is fixated on no, you need to experience this pain. Like it's not okay for you to give up the pain. Because that's like the one kind of moral high ground he has is that he has wept and felt all the evil that he has done. It hasn't stopped him. And
Right.
so he kind of is saying like, wait, no, no, like, you need to feel this. I thought that was really powerful, really interesting. And then, I want Chris to write me a little essay about is this hemalurgy? Is this using the same kind of bind points as hemalurgy, but different? Is it a fabrial? Like it just there's not clearness here for me as to why this works realmatically. Um, but I want to know more about what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. If I had to give an explanation, it would definitely be like the bind points are the same. Clearly, the type of spike, the material that the spike is made out of changes. But that could also be just the planet. That could be
Yeah.
the local investiture. And if Moash goes to Scadrial, then he'd be able to see
Oh no.
what's up.
Oh no, I lost you for just a half second.
Oh, okay. Well, now I'm found. Amazing Grace.
Now that is an interesting question from a lore perspective that I've never pondered. Does an Inquisitor need to be burning steel/iron to see? Like if I was able to use aluminum to leach them of all of their metals, would they inherently be able to see the metal around them? Or do
That
they
was
have to be engaging?
that was my understanding of how it worked because it just Marsh when we got a Marsh POV after he got his eyes stabbed, he was able to see the pinpricks
Yeah.
of metal and it didn't I don't remember him saying he was burning anything to get that. And
Yeah.
then
We get him so late though, right? He's already been an Inquisitor for months at that point. So like we've never seen a brand new baby Inquisitor, which is also a terrifying picture. Don't picture baby Inquisitors, guys. That would be awful and you should not do it. Please do it. Somebody needs to make a baby Inquisitor. Oh, terrifying. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure from the hemalurgy table what would give. I always assumed it was a super powerful iron sight/steel sight that like in the same way that you can pierce copper clouds and you can do all these other fancy things. But I don't know.
sure. Yeah. Well, and then it might depend on the strength of because this is not they're not okay, I see what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
they took somebody else's what
Yeah, what would they have taken to give someone the ability to see metal, right?
yeah.
So I've always assumed it was a super steel sight, super iron sight.
Yeah.
Um,
That they spiked through the eyes that granted that ability.
yeah.
Sure. But in this case, they didn't shove the spikes through anybody, right?
I don't. So what is it? They took mallets, they pounded spikes of light. So it feels like the crystals have investiture in them.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay,
actually
that
different
would
as well, right? Like
right.
you can charge. We've seen how you can charge a hemalurgic spike without killing somebody. So like there's ways to charge it. So
Right.
it's almost like the stabbing is the most primitive, most brutal way to charge a hemalurgic spike. But in theory, you could fill it with investiture anyway and then
Sure. Right.
attach it with the bind point. So it probably is something similar going on here. Um, yeah, I like that. So probably similar to what the honor blades do, where they're able to attach to your spirit web and give you something not identical, obviously. You don't have to be stabbed, but it's a mechanic of here is a thing that you couldn't do before. And now you
Sure.
can.
Now you can, yeah. That makes sense. And CJ has teleported.
to a much less appealing room. There's lots of really cool things around me, but none of them are visible in this shot. Just a power cord growing out of my head, unfortunately.
That's a really interesting place to put a power cord. Is that intended for like a TV or?
Yeah, we had cameras at one point.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense. Fun. Okay. Now let's move on to Interlude 8. And I don't know about you, but I'm using Trevor's notes, as I told you. And this is what
Uh-huh.
he's written. Odium lets passion rule, and he feels it all, primarily anger and fear. He sees the only way to protect his city and family is to control everything. Both sides of him now agree.
Yeah, a little scary there, right? It's like,
Yup.
oh, we'll go back and forth. Like, oh, nope, nope, we just all agree now. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah. That worked out real well. Yeah, I'm gonna try to let both sides rule. Oh wait, they
Turns
both want
out
the same
I
thing.
agree with myself.
Yeah. Who would
Weird,
have
weird how
thought?
that worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. You the mind can will what is it? The mind can will the body and the body will obey, but the mind can't will the mind.
Hmm.
Or the mind can't control the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job, Odium. Good job. I forgot
Yeah,
that.
it
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's been an interesting progression for him, right? Where it started off, you have this sweet little old man that is willing to do a little bit of evil to try to save everybody,
Hmm.
and then he gets more and more and more power, and all it does is increase the evil. Like all this has done for him is increase the ability for him to do awful
Yes,
things.
it really has.
Um, ugh. You know, now here's the
Power
question
corrupt.
though. Would we think that if it's 5,000 years in the future of the Cosmere and there is no war and there is no disease and 4,000 years worth of people have lived peaceful lives under Odium?
Well, that gets back to what cultivation and Teravangian we're talking about in
Hmm.
Interlude 2, right? With is it worth it if they're not completely free? Which I imagine most people
Yeah.
would argue no, but a small part of them would be like, you know what? If I was dictator, if I was a
Yeah.
potato, I
Uh-huh.
would, things would be better, right? If I were dictator, things would be better.
Yeah.
That's a power trip everybody has gone in their own heads when they've
Oh yeah.
faced moments of despair that were not of their making and were
Yeah.
either governmental or societal in
Yeah.
their birth.
I could do better.
Yeah, like if I could just snap my fingers and half of life was just killed across the universe, that would be. No, wait, that's Thanos. Squid Game 2 season 2 was good, by the way. Talking about
Interesting.
Thanos.
Okay. I'm hopeful. I've not watched it yet.
It's
Um,
very entertaining.
but ever since I heard that it was happening, I was like, I am apprehensive about that fact. So I'm glad to hear that it's good.
It's entertaining. It's you know, when you eat at a nice restaurant
Hmm.
and you're like, "Damn, that was good, but I'm probably not going to come back here for like a year." And then
Hmm.
you go back and you have the same thing and you're like, "Damn, that was good." Kind of like what Squid Game season 2 is.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I forgot. Trevor wrote us out a wonderful day 5 recap
Oh.
that I should have said at the beginning. So now I need to
Well,
text
hey,
you.
functionally, it's at the beginning, right?
It
Because,
is. It is at the
you know,
beginning of day 5. Yes, you're right. So
yeah.
we'll keep it with that. Yeah, we'll keep it with that. So the day 5 recap. We get to check in on Venley and her new chasm friends. Dalinar and Navani learn how to navigate the visions through anchors. Sigzil holds the defense at Narak while Vyre shows up with an Elsegate. Adolin continues to lead the defense while Notum joins the war efforts as a messenger. Yasna ponders on Odium's plans for Thalen City. Szeth continues to be the very best that ever was, while his spren seeks out Nail for reinforcements due to Kaladin's therapy sessions.
Is that an implication that Szeth's a little bit on a Pokemon Red journey, going to each of the gyms and collecting the badges and
Yeah, ever since let's see, we put out our day 3 episode. Yeah, in day 3, we start off immediately calling Szeth a Pokemon trainer. He is gaining honor blades.
you're not wrong.
Yep, and it honestly, like I said then, and I'll continue to say it, very video game-esque. The setup for it. You all right, man?
Yeah, I'm okay.
If I
Sorry
could
about that.
reach through and just like Heimlich. It's a good thing your wife doesn't have headphones on. That's in case you start. Yeah, very Pokemon, very video game-esque. And actually, I was thinking about this earlier today. What if Szeth's backstory had been in Oathbringer? Like as the third,
Yeah.
right? As the
Yes.
third book.
Yes. I
But
thought about that a lot while reading this book.
yeah, would they have kept, because we saw Szeth in the present during Oathbringer learning or facing the tests to be a Skybreaker.
Yeah.
Would Sanderson have kept those as Szeth's growth, culminating it in him choosing Dalinar as his law? Because
Yeah.
I'm 90% certain that would have been a better place for Szeth's flashbacks, but then Dalinar's would not really do very well here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say Sanderson should have changed those, but it's interesting to contemplate.
It is very much so. And I don't know what other people have said, but like just to be clear, I've read the whole book. The way that I handle this is I say the things that I thought during day 5 as I read it. So
Right.
if that's correct, I'm going to say it. If it's incorrect, I'm going to say it. I will treat this as if I am the CJ that read day 5.
Yes.
Obviously, if something is like a detail that I didn't realize until now, like on a reread, I'm not going to talk about that. But if
Yeah.
it's something that I thought about, then I'll mention that. I think it would have been very interesting to parallel Szeth going on his journey of becoming the Honor Blade wielder flashbacks, right? With his now I've just moved on to joining Nail, right? Like it's kind of like he's just moved from one training arc to a different master training arc, and then him choosing Dalinar would be this awesome subversion of like, oh no, like I can change. I don't have to listen to my master, my Nimi. I can go. I do like that a lot.
Yeah.
So,
That would have worked
be
well.
interesting.
That would have been cool. Yeah, I have, if anybody's joining us for the first time, I've also finished the book, and I am not going to give away anything that has happened, and we'll also talk about it as if I had just read day 5. So what I think we're going to do, we're going to start with the Szeth flashbacks and just walk through all of those. Then
Okay.
we'll move to Szeth and Kaladin, then Venley, then Sigzil, and then we'll go to the spiritual realm friends. So the first Szeth flashback, this is after he's been sent off to become a soldier, right? And he is the best that no one ever was, yet again. Everyone in the training camp hates him for it because he's so good. And then his father is doing pretty well. His sister is doing pretty well. Mother absolutely hates it. And the voice that he heard continues to observe and guide him. And then what happens? Then his father's like, we're going to make this place a home. Come to the general's office. We're gonna make this place a home. Szeth sees an honor bearer, right? Posen is there,
Yeah.
and he wonders on ki is killing right? Is that something good? Um,
Yeah.
which is a great through line through the whole book. Um, Szeth asking from the beginning, how do you know what the truth is? And so he asks
Yeah.
Posen, and Posen is like, well, uh, follow the chain of command, and Szeth, you should count yourself lucky to be one who defends the truth. And then another honor bearer, which I don't remember which one it is. Do you remember?
Oh,
Is it the
there's
one,
three of them. There's
right?
Vambra, Civi, and Posen.
Yeah. One of the other ones starts questioning that. Um, and then Posen is like, well, we need level-headed people on the battlefield too, not just administration. And I think, if I remember correctly, Szeth is like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, people should be smart. And then Posen was like, Szeth, you need to go spend time in a slaughterhouse, which I was horrified at.
Yeah,
And then
just a little bit.
also, you need to go fight in the back lines, so you're not going to be in danger. But you need to go
Yep.
learn how to
Subtract, as they
how to
say.
subtract. Yeah. And Szeth's like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. That's nice. That seems reasonable for now. And then the next Szeth flashback
Yeah.
was bananas. I actually
Just a little bit.
I was taken aback. There was a big time jump for Szeth's flashbacks here. So he's
Yes.
been training as a soldier for 8 years, and 5 years since that talk with the honor bearers. The voice is still talking to him, and ultimately, this is the first time that the voice tells him to do something that he's like, hold on. I don't like that. That doesn't seem right. Because Szeth finds a boy hiding when the farmer had ordered an evacuation of the town because of the stonewalkers, and he found a boy hiding there. And the voice urges Szeth onward. I'm reading Trevor's notes here. The voice urges Szeth onward. Szeth mistakes this for action, but the voice tells him to let the boy suffer the consequences of his actions. Szeth is upset that the voice expected him to do something without clearly stating his direction. And so Szeth's like, remind me, Szeth is like, I'm not going to do that. Right?
Yeah.
And he comes up with a different plan to protect the boy.
Yeah.
And the plan goes off without a hitch. We see an oath stone. We see where, Sanderson is tying in that oath stone from the first and second books.
Yeah.
Trevor puts down here, the voice likes oaths. So that's
interesting.
that's a
Yeah.
signal. Yeah. And then Szeth's plan goes off pretty much without a hitch. The voice tells him something to tell the men that he just defeated, and he also kills 2 of them. And that scares them. But something miraculous happens to Szeth, who got hit in the shoulder, right?
Yeah.
That was he gets hit, and then the voice is like, you don't deserve this, but I'm gonna give you another chance, and just straight heals him.
Straight
And this
healing.
is I was talking with Trevor the other day about the different magic introduced,
Yeah.
and this is not necessarily different magic, but this is the first time we've seen healing out of nowhere, no radiant powers, no stormlight, no lifelight or whatever, nobody laying on hands, right?
Yeah.
Just straight healing,
Presumably at a great distance,
presumably.
right? I mean, we don't know what the voice is, where it is, how it is, but I I mean, it doesn't appear to be present physically.
Right. And then Szeth Szeth does what the voice says because he's like, ah, yeah, you healed me. So
Might as
okay,
well.
I'll
Seems
do
good.
I'll do what you say. And then the general and his dad are horrified, saying that he went too far, which infuriates Szeth as he followed orders exactly in his mind and
Yeah.
accomplished the goal.
Yeah. Poor rule follower Zeth. He's like, yeah, it's not my fault that you didn't specify the details,
Yeah.
which is so fascinating because that's what I love about Zeth is it's that personality, that reality of there are people who would say what Zeth said and it would be manipulation, right?
Right.
It would be
Right.
legitimately, oh no, I misinterpreted you on purpose. This is some level of, no, I truly believe this was within what you, I mean, I knew you would be upset. I knew you didn't understand necessarily what you had asked for, but I did what I agreed to, and I still think it's within what you asked for.
Yeah. Damn. Damn. Yeah. And then the third Szeth flashback here. Um, Szeth is waiting for his punishment when Elid comes to talk.
Oh, real quick as an
Uh,
aside, he's able to the voice is able to understand the languages, right? So that's another interesting little piece of
yes.
information about it.
He also said that he's bound to those in Shinovar,
Hmm.
uh, which is super weird. Like, what does that mean?
Is
Right? So Trevor has here, is it night? Is it stone? Is it spren? Is it honor itself? Um, the voice says
is
it's
it the thing that was the storm faker in the prologue?
storm faker. Yeah. Is it?
I'm just there's a weird parallel to thing that appears to people, you know, I mean, there's it's just interesting. There's it's a non-zero chance that they're the same thing.
That's true.
They
Yes.
shouldn't be, probably.
Probably.
But if you're still on the storm faker train, you at least got something to hang your hat on.
Yeah. Storm fakers, robots in disguise.
I was more of a Storm Fakers Beast Wars guy, so it's
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. I was Pokemon was my thing. That was
oh yeah.
Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! I didn't Transformers and Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles have grown on me, but the other they just I'm not putting them down. They just didn't appeal to me as a kid.
Well, one of them
Pokemon.
is a repurposed Japanese show that was cut up and spliced, and the other is something that was actually created for you to enjoy. So that makes some sense.
Which, which one was the which one
Oh,
was
Power Rangers. Power Rangers. Do you know about this?
no.
Oh my goodness. You got to go down the rabbit hole at some point. It
Okay.
was so Power Rangers was they went, what's the cheapest way we could make a show? And they bought these Japanese shows called Super Sentai. And like it's different seasons. Sometimes it's not even the same show. And they would take the fighting scenes and then they would cut out the acting scenes and then they would have American actors act and then they would like teleport over into their suits and it wouldn't be them anymore. It would be footage from the Japanese show that they then dubbed over, which is why you'll go from like beautiful Los Angeles to barren wasteland when the fighting starts, or like you'll be at an American city and then all of a sudden when it's the Zords and the people in suits in Japan, they're in like a completely different city for their fights. So it's the Yellow Ranger, I believe, was not a female in the Japanese version, and so the Yellow Ranger's like costume doesn't have a skirt, but the Pink Ranger's does because the Pink Ranger was a woman in the Japanese, but not the Yellow Ranger in the. Oh, it's wild. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like they just were like, what's the cheapest way we could make this show? They only had to film about 20% of the episode. Eventually they started to get like, and so also later in the season and seasons, you can see like, oh, they've got a slightly cheaper looking suit. That's the American actor who's actually performing right now. Oh, that's the better looking suit. That's the Japanese original. It's just, yeah. They would
That's
like cut, they would like take a character from a later season and then like use their scenes for like a subplot. It's just, yeah. It's a Frankenstein's monster of a show.
wow. Wow.
Oh, but I felt so bad for Szeth. I really did.
Yeah.
I, it's just classic. Like, I did what you told me to do. What do you mean you don't like what I
Right.
did?
Right. And then, right. And then Zeth's awaiting his punishment. Hila's like, you suck. Everything sucks. There's no such thing as a holy rock. Um, and asks Szeth if he knows why they used to live isolated before, uh, which I don't think there was an answer for that.
Seems like it was culture, right? So like
Right.
well, the way that I took it, and I think there's ambiguity here, but it very much feels like Naturo and his wife just here's what I think. Naturo and his wife are a parallel to Liren and Hasina.
Okay.
They both left a lifestyle that the wife was accustomed to
Right.
because of the beliefs, the inspiration, the leadership of the husband. One of them bought in. Hasina totally was like, "Yeah, I'm on board. We will protect this town. Let's do it." And Zeth's mom just didn't. And I think there's potentially lots of reasons for that, but just doesn't seem like she did. And so now you have this ultimate test of like, well, what's going to happen now? And they separate more. So it seems like she kind of went reluctantly, but we don't fully understand what it is. I think the hint is she comes running with the shovel. So like, and she's happier in the city, right? She doesn't continue on. So
Yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, that's a good point. There are a lot
yeah,
of parallels, right? There are, I'm, I guess you could call them even foils,
yeah.
um, across the Stormlight Archive. And then they're like, okay, Szeth, your punishment's that you're gonna go to the mines, and then
The voice
you
is like, wait. Hold up. Is there a conference call happening right now? Wait a minute. I am so sorry. I slept through this. Let me jump in real quick.
um,
Gosh.
and Szeth almost gets what he kind of wanted, where the farmer
Mm-hmm.
promises that he'll have a post to watch for invaders. It'll be lonely, but he'll have a beautiful view, and he can even raise a flock of sheep.
He's
And
so
then
happy.
yeah, and then the voice is like, actually, um, tell them tell them you can hear me, uh, or something along those lines. And he does, and then they're like, oh, well, I guess you gotta go be an honor bearer. So you're gonna start training for that.
Yeah, it's crazy. He doesn't even ask Szeth to say anything. He just starts talking to the honor
No.
bearers.
Right,
And
right.
then Posen's like, everybody out. Everybody except Szeth. We gotta talk.
Yeah.
And then
And I'm like,
Szeth is like, wait a minute.
hold
You can
on.
hear it too, can't you?
Yeah. And is that when he starts to question, what is it?
Yeah, he's like, how long? What you hear it too? It's rare. Um I heard it when I killed the sheep. Why wouldn't you tell? What yeah, he says, what is it? What is this voice? And then Civi says, only once you're the highest member of our society are you able to know.
Thanks, Brandon, for gatekeeping that.
Yeah.
That's
Well, it's classic medieval knowledge, right? Only your
sure.
elite get to know things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there's no Wikipedia, there's no Coppermind that Szeth can be like, wait, what is the voice?
Yeah, if only he had just read the Stormlight Archive.
Yeah. Which, as a fun aside, don't even do the Coppermind chapter by chapter because it will reveal characters. For example, it will reveal to you who/what the voice is because it doesn't list the voice as a character. It lists who/what the voice is. So You know, I don't think most people would, but I could definitely see someone being like, oh, well, let me just like read the summaries as I go to make sure I'm aware of who the characters are.
Yeah,
Um,
especially somebody who's like, okay, I'm gonna put this down after day 3 because this is a bit much or I don't really like it. And then they come back later and they're like, I'm gonna go read the chapter summaries.
yep,
That's a
yep,
bad
yep, yep.
move. That's a bad move on the
Yeah.
Coppermind's part. Somebody needs, do you have contacts? Is
No.
that
Uh,
who's in charge of
uh,
that?
I
Because
think it's fair. I can propose an edit. I might do that, actually.
yeah, if if you feel so inclined, I
Oh
don't.
my gosh. They, oh my goodness. I'll tell you who they spoil later. My goodness. I mean, I guess it makes sense. There's only a certain way you can do it, but man, that's wild. Okay. Anyway, um, yeah, I felt so bad for Szeth because he has so many moments. Think about this.
Okay.
If they had just left their home, they would have been more careful to bring Molly and everyone with them because they would have known we're not coming back. We
Right.
need to take everything with us when we leave. And now Szeth doesn't go looking for Molly, and Szeth doesn't meet the voice, and Szeth doesn't kill this person. It's like he was, and they still had to leave. It's like he was right to leave the house, but because he made the choice that they wanted, their lives are ruined. Butterfly effects, man. Blew my
Damn.
mind.
Damn. That's sad.
It is really sad. Like,
That's super sad.
particularly the flashback that starts here where it says Szeth's son Naturo no longer found magic upon the wind or whatever. It's like, oh no, that's so awful. Oh,
That's sad. And then it gets even worse because his father's like, okay, well, if you're gonna make Zeth an acolyte, we're gonna go with him. Uh, and his mom is like, hell no, leave me out of this. I'm not leaving any. I'm not moving anymore. You suck. I hate that you
speaking
did this.
speaking of Lyran parallels,
Yeah.
this made me go, wow, what if Lyran goes with Adolin and Kaladin, or not Adolin? Gosh, even I think that Adolin and Kaladin are the two brothers, not
Kaladin
if
and
Kaladin and
Tien.
Tien. If he goes with Kaladin and Tien and says, "Hey, Amaram, I'm an expert surgeon. These are my right hand man. I need them in the surgery room with me. We're going to keep your people alive." You absolutely would give him whatever he asked for if he could suddenly heal everybody that gets hurt in your. It just, it's that. But Liren would
Yep.
never have thought to do that. He was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I've lost."
Yeah. And it's when you're writing, initially you might have a plot that things are happening and your characters are just reacting to it and they're
Yeah,
not influencing events.
and
And then,
then,
right.
yeah,
With but then you fix it and you suddenly the characters are starting to they're the reason things are happening. So
yeah,
it is nice that we can see a clear because they made this choice, this happens, right? It's nice when there's a clear, otherwise
yeah.
you end up with Indiana Jones uh and the what's the first one called?
Oh, I was thinking about when he shot the guy instead of doing the whipping scene because he had diarrhea.
That was funny.
A little different though.
Why
Oh,
can't
well, wait a minute. Well, there's a couple that could
the
maybe
Lost
fit with
Ark?
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Lost Ark,
because
right?
ultimately the argument is if he isn't involved at all, they still open it at the end and they all die. So it's like, what did he actually do?
Yep. Yep. Nothing. He did
Um,
well, he set up Crystal Skull.
oh
Okay.
man. So at this point, what are you thinking? What do you because this is the end of Zeth's flashback for this day.
Yes.
Um, do you are you thinking we're gonna get like super far forward? Are you expecting honor blade training? what do you know, are we going to get mom back in the picture? What are you expecting as you get into that?
I expected that the mom split was permanent,
Yeah,
and
I
that
did
it
as
would be
well.
a sore point, and a spot of tension. I was really hoping we would see, uh, at this point, I was like, we need to see honor bearer training because that could lead to some really cool scenes. And then I also thought at this time, I was like, I'm thinking the voice is an unmade, and they are so charismatic or potent that the other honor bearers are like, yeah, we'll do what you want, even though you're an unmade. Maybe, I mean, maybe they didn't even know that it was an unmade. So that's what I was thinking. What were
Yeah,
you?
I yeah, pretty similar. I mean, same for the mom. I think you write that and you like it's a flashbacks. You don't have time to like reignite things with mom. Um, I I was struggling with my Brandonness of Szeth has told me he met an unmade and that that's what this story is about. And so it appears on its face the voice is an unmade.
Yes,
Comma, however, none of the abilities seem to match with an unmade. And I had a theory about the storm faker in the prologue, and the voice was doing very similar things. So I pretty much I was like, okay, it's either an unmade, in which point it's like, okay, cool. Like it's an unmade. I can't guess at that because I don't know enough about any of them.
sure,
Or it is the person that was messing around as the storm faker that was looking for oath pact people and or Gavilar stuff. So that was kind of my I was like on either side of that, and I don't think this is the right day to get into who I thought that was, but
yeah, that's fair.
I was thinking that they were the same person. That was my big theory.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move to Venley, who has not appeared until now.
Yeah.
This was day five opened with Venley,
Yeah. I'm
and
sure everyone loved that. They were like, "Yay, my favorite character." To be clear, I like Venley. Me and my wife dress up as Venley and Relay, and I love
yes, that's
Venley.
true.
It
That's
is not everyone's favorite character. It is
yeah,
many people's least favorite character.
yeah. Uh, yeah, I know on my first read through of Rhythm of War, I skipped Venley Eshonai chapters and went and read the chapter summaries. I
That I think, it's a bit of a monkey's paw. I think that him writing Venley and Eshonai's flashbacks prepared him to write the spiritual realm shenanigans well,
okay.
because both of them have the same potential problem, which is if you are a Silverlight Guide to the Cosmere person, or you're a 17th Sharder, or you are like dissecting all of the lore and the words of Brandon, you know 90% of the Rhythm of War flashbacks. You know the skeleton of the things that happen in the spiritual realm flashbacks. Like you think right? You have a pretty
Sure.
reasonable guess. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, it's this," and then a little bit different. So I think the spiritual realm stuff was a lot better for me as someone who, reads the words of Brandon, reads the 17th shard, all that stuff. So I think the Venley stuff helped there, but it is a struggle. It is a struggle.
Sure. Yeah. I think it would be a very interesting conversation to dissect why some other time. So
Yeah.
Venley's living with the listeners in the chasms alongside the chasm friends, but she still feels bad for what she did. Um, she talks with the stone, and the stone is very cryptic, and they're like, what did they even say? Like, go here. But maybe that's a
We're
bit.
happy you're here. We
Yeah.
brought you to this place where the songs were once the loudest.
Yeah. That was. cryptic. Very strange. Very strange way of
Yeah.
speaking. And then they were like, the the wind knows the future, but we know the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then her mother apologizes, but Venley is like, no, it was my fault. Cool. And then she's like, we need to find a way out of Odium's clutches. All right. That's a fair promise, right?
Hmm.
That's a good promise for Venley. Like,
Yep.
these people need to not be under his hold anymore.
Yeah, it's ironic because she's really just doing the same, and that's why everyone distrusts her, but she's doing the same thing she was doing before, which is we have a hostile enemy force that wants to control us and will eliminate us, and you need my help to be able to escape from that force. And it's like, we did this already, Venley. Like I remember what happened. I think Thude is
Yeah.
like
They're just like,
the big champion of that.
we've been down this road before, and it did not end at a positive place.
Didn't you have spread and you wanted us to bond last time? It's great.
It's pretty brilliant. That's
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah. Uh, and then her mom is like, "Hey, we need to go talk with Leshwi. We need to go talk with the what are those called? Singers. The Fused. We need to go talk with the Fused. It's late. I didn't get enough sleep. I apologize." Uh, so then Venley, Jackslim, and Thude speak with Leshwi in a sandy place that's filled with crim. Thanks for the description, Trevor. This is saving my butt. Venley is curious still about the relationship between the Chasm friends and the listeners, and then Timber is like, I'm about to figure it out. I'm almost there. And then they're like, hey, Leshwi, we can all escape Odium. You can escape Odium if you just renounce him as your god. And Leshwi's like, no, I'm pretty sure we're bound to him. And then Thude finally accepts Venley and offers to show her the secrets of the Chasm friend relationships with the singers. So
Yeah.
pretty straightforward. Nice little, not necessarily slice of life, but not super high stakes here. Just we don't want Odium to come looking for us because the Fused are with us. Maybe you should just give up Odium. And then they're like, I don't think we can do that. How are you feeling about Venley at this point?
This point, I'm totally on board. I'm intrigued by Chasm Fiends. I'm intrigued by. I mean, Sanderson even made a bit of a promise at Nexus that we'd get a little bit more. I think he did a good job at Nexus of saying like you're gonna get more, not a lot more. You're gonna need a little bit more about Chasm Fiends. I think somebody was asking him about the life cycle and mating or something like that. And we get a little bit of that here with Thude's promise about we're interacting. That was the big thing from Rhythm of War is like, wait, why is there a Chasm Fiend on the wall over here? Is this like a reincarnated singer? Like what's going on? So that's a big mystery that I want more of. And I think Venley is this really great example of a character that's trying really hard to do better, and I'm
Right.
here for that journey.
Yeah. We appreciated Dalinar for it.
Yep.
Let's appreciate Venley as well.
Yeah.
Boom. Mic drop. Um, we learned so Thude made a song, and Venley's like, "Whoa, you made a song? That was pretty good." Thude's like, "Nah, it was nothing." The Friends are more friendly than they thought. They used to live in the rolling hills, but would come to the Shattered Plains for their final transformation into adulthood. And the Chasm Fiends hadn't realized the humans were targeting pupating ones. And they can also,
It's it
isn't
is
that
really morbid. Like it's
super
super
morbid?
macabre once you
Yeah.
understand how intelligent they are.
It's yeah, yeah. Uh, they can also speak to each other telepathically. They can project
Yeah.
images into listeners and humans' heads too. That's super strange
Super
and
cool.
cool and cool. That I'm reading Exodus, the Archimedes engine,
Ooh.
that came out last September, I think. And it's a tie-in to a video game that's coming out this year. That's some
Okay.
AAA sci-fi game. And they have it's far future sci-fi, like where there's humans, but humans that got to the Centauri cluster first 40,000 years ago genetically modified themselves
Yep.
into yeah. So they have these neural implants where they can talk to each other, like by touching each other's neural implants, they
Yeah.
can send thoughts and ideas.
Yeah. Have you
It's
done
a,
Tchaikovsky,
I
Children of Time
I have
series
not.
specifically?
I've not. I have tried to read his latest one because it looked short and it was at the library, and then I didn't read it because Wind and
Love it.
Truth.
Oh yeah, Wind and Truth, it'll do it to you.
It will.
But it deals with a lot of that. So like the concept, the central conceit of the children of there's like time, ruin, memory, like four of them, I think, at this point.
Sure.
But the central conceit is that humanity created a virus that like jump starts evolution
Okay.
with the idea that they would seed a bunch of planets throughout the galaxy with primates, and then it would evolve them up to humans so that by the time they were ready to explore those star systems, they would find it's really morbid populations of humans ready to be slave labor, basically, right?
Oh
I mean, not
God.
like true slaves, but like they would be the lesser, right? Like you're coming in a spaceship. I mean, it's Stargate, really. Like I don't know if you've ever seen
Sure.
Stargate, but
No.
it's that kind of concept. And in the idea was the virus was set up to where it would stop once the primate became about our level of humanity, roughly, right?
Okay.
Like upright, able to think, build cities, that kind of stuff. But they didn't want them to be super evolved. But the central conceit of the book series is that virus then finds spiders and it finds squids and it finds fungus. And those things can never look like a primate that's upright and walking around. So like, it will never stop super evolving them because it never reaches the condition that it's supposed to stop at. And so you get like super evolved spiders that are building space stations with like, lattices down to the planet, but they never invented the wheel because spiders don't need a wheel because they're going along a web constantly. So you don't need a wheel when and they encounter some humans and they're like, oh, these primitive humans, they can't even tap to communicate. Like, what are they? And
That sounds amazing.
it's a really good series. I
I'm
like it
gonna
a
have
lot.
to.
Children of Time is the first one.
I'm gonna go
It
put
is it
that.
is like it is sci-fi. Like it is very much the you'll go forward like 50 years, 100 years. So like you're not
Sure.
reading it for necessarily individual characters.
Gotcha.
But it's is real good.
I'll add that to my wish list. Yeah, this one you do follow individual characters, but the author plays around with time dilation really well, and doesn't make it that big of a deal in terms of like characters relating to one another, um, but does make it part of the plot with things
Sure.
happening in larger scale. Anyways,
Yeah.
tangent over. I'm gonna quickly summarize here. Um, right, the Chasm friends, they changed their perspective on of humans from challenging little things to a race of dominance. They left and found the singers to form a truce. That's where this came from. They speak of their new arrangement and then Odium's contract for the humans, and Venley thinks they should help and perhaps ask the fiends to fight so Odium doesn't squash them after the peace deal. And then Thud and Bila are like, humans suck. Bye. And then Timber's like, that's okay, Venley. They'll come around. And Jaxlem also is like, they'll come around. You're loved. And then Venley is like, what? Why do they need to pupate on the shattered plains? And so she goes and bothers a fiend for answers. And then they were led there by the songs, whatever that means. And then
Yeah.
Venley wonders all the questions us readers have been asking. Why build a kingdom here? Why fight for it? What had broken it? And what did Odium want from it so desperately to send the thrill here? The stones are like, hey, we have answers, but then the chasm fiends were like, there's a storm coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Story blocked. Come back
Yeah.
later.
Come back later. Yeah. Here's a lamppost. We're hanging a lamp or whatever, signpost.
Yeah.
Hanging a lantern for you.
It's a promise. A promise of things
promise.
to come.
Yeah. Is it fully realized? We'll find out. I'd like to think so.
It's tricky. You got 5 books to go, man. You can't fully realize every promise.
Damn, you're right. I'm gonna be like
5 books plus probably 5 novellas,
I'm gonna be
3
65.
secret projects.
I'm just kidding. Wait, how old am I gonna be in? Oh my God, I'm gonna be 40.
You're not far off. Conservatively, we're talking about book 6 or book 10.
Book 10? Book 10, I'm gonna be 55. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Conservatively, right? Assuming that he does not lose track, assuming he doesn't get sick for a year, or I mean, his wife.
don't
could
you
get,
wish
I mean,
that
any
evil
number
on
of
him?
things. I don't wish it on him. I'm saying, he's very ambitious with his plans, and
Yeah.
any number of things could come in the way of that.
Brutus says he was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously hath Caesar answered for it.
So
Anytime I hear the word ambitious, that runs through my head.
great. It's great. Oh, I love that.
See, I didn't realize that the friends, Romans, countrymen thing, like, he's trying to get their attention. Like, friends.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's not
Yeah.
going to work. Romans. Why aren't they listening to me? Countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. Pay the frick attention to me.
Yeah. I find, because I had to memorize that in high school, and
Oh, nice.
I only have the first like 2 sentences or so still
Sure.
memorized, but it's kind of like the Raven. I have like the first stanza or so of the Raven memorized. Once you start, you don't have to finish, because people are like, please stop. We
Yeah.
understand. You've got it memorized. You're good. Like,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, if you can do the first 2 lines of to be or not to be, and then surprise them with the next lines 3 and 4, they're like,
Yeah.
what? Anyway, that has happened several times in the last year.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings of and arrows of outrageous fortune. That's where I stop. That's what I got.
Or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them.
Ah, that's good.
To die, to sleep, to dream. No, I think I messed
Have
that up.
you-
Anyways, what's up?
I was gonna say, have you ever watched Britannic's
Britannics.
Midsummer Night's Dream ending soliloquy? I will send it to you. You will enjoy it.
Okay.
The central conceit is that it's 2 comedy duos who are then later joined by Abed from Community,
Oh my
and they are
God.
trying to end the Midsummer Night's Dream soliloquy at the end, and then they lose like the last little bit, and then the one guy comes in and he's completing it with very wrong things. He's like, no, not that. It's and then it just it's
That
comedic
sounds
gold.
hilarious.
I'll send it
That
to
sounds
you.
amazing.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the stones are like, Venley, you need to go to Narak, the center of the Shattered Plains, her once home. She sees the thoughts of the stones, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Interpreting the land as once belonging to singers, then humans with blue skin. So that was weird. Could have been the Amiens. Who else could that be?
Yeah, the Nattans, right?
Yeah,
Aren't
the
the
Nattans.
Nattans blue-skinned?
The Nattans.
Yeah.
Yep.
I assume it's the Nattans, since it's
Right. Because even the
new Nattans over there.
yeah, they have slight blue tinge. Yep.
Mhm.
Ultimately, a lot happens with Venley here. Actually, that's the last little bit for the day?
I think so. Because the high storm
Yeah.
hits, she sleeps,
Yeah,
presumably. And then,
presumably.
yeah. I think it would
And
have been fun if she changed forms. That would have been interesting. I don't know if she
that
will
would
or
have been.
not, I guess, as
Yeah.
of day 5.
Well,
There's a high storm coming.
did she feel bonded with Timber? Did she feel as comfortable as Relaine did, bonded with Toomey in
I
the
think,
form that he was in?
yeah. I don't know if it ever gets talked about. I think Venley might have that little bit of egotism to her where, like, she doesn't talk about that, but she talks about not being affected by odium as
Right,
much.
right.
That's how she contextualizes it.
Gotcha. Um, they wanted to make a capital out of the land, the Shattered Plains, with a 10th Oath Gate. They had built it with power. And then Venley asks when and is shown Urithiru being built and soon after Noadon arriving. But there's been no radiance as humans and singers alike hadn't needed bonds to sing with the stones. The stones seem to imply Urithiru was built with alien stones of the fourth moon. Is that in there?
Ooh. I was looking. I'm not seeing the Urithiru discussion. I might be missing it. Yeah, I'm not seeing that. I might be off. There is reference to Noah. Let me see if I can find Noadon.
Sure. Oh, my dog is wearing a collar right now, like a cone, and he we also give him the little jar of peanut butter when we're finished
Yeah.
with it. And he just walked by and his cone, and he's got his little thing of peanut butter in his mouth, and it was so cute.
Okay. That's interesting. So it says, because of the new gods, the stones thought with sorrow. They didn't understand. No one understood the alien stones at the place's heart. Alien stones, the fourth moon, now dead, now fallen, with stone that is not quite stone. And when gods came here. So I don't know if I would say it indicates Urithiru was. I think there's
Right.
a like she's talking about how she talked to the rocks at Urithiru.
Oh, okay.
Um, I don't know that I would agree that it's indicating Urithiru was made with those rocks. I think it's just like
Sure.
next conversation piece.
Gotcha.
Um,
What do you what do you think the fourth moon is?
man, it's blowing my mind.
The epigraphs are endowment talking to wit,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
part of that is endowment's like, I'm not going to tell you of Valor's plan.
Mm-hmm. What's Valor's plan, Brandon?
What if Valor is the fourth moon?
Okay.
It's
Okay.
it's way too far out there, but like that's where my brain keeps going back to. Trevor thought that too. Um, it makes no sense, but like what if you could condense power and hide yourself, and then you're just waiting for the perfect moment to pop up and be like, I stab at thee.
Yeah.
It'd be dumb, but it'd be. But I think. Do you think when Roshar was made, it was made with three moons, right?
I mean, that's all of the stories we have. Like Wit tells his story about the moon who comes down and trades places with the queen and all of that fun stuff. And there's three of them always, but I don't know
Sure.
that I don't know that we could explicitly say, because this even seems to imply the fourth moon fell before the gods came. So, like, is it the shattering of Adonalsium that triggers the fourth moon falling in some way? Like, Adonalsium was keeping the moon up.
Yeah.
Um, I've seen a lot of Noadon being connected to things. I wouldn't hate the idea that, um, you know, there's some being, Adonalsium avatar, Valor avatar, whatever, pops in, hides, shows up as a king to like provide some wisdom. I mean, that feels very Judeo-Christian also. Like if you somehow could make a baby that didn't know who they were, like, but they're still
Sure.
invested in some way. Um, and then
Very
they would disappear
Lies of
into
La
the
Camora
spiritual realm. Yeah.
a little bit. Talking about a
No,
baby.
it's truly anyone's guess at this point. I
Yeah.
think the fourth moon is like one of the big mysteries. He's trying to be like, come back for book 6 through 10.
Yeah. It really does seem like that. I think there's also more to say later in the book on this, but you got to read and find out.
It's true.
Um, Sigzel's not having a great time, right? Sigzel's plan is working, but people are dying. There's new fused, new. I say new, right? They've come back.
New
They're
to
pretty
us, yeah.
cool. Um, and that's Sigzel, right? At the end of it, um, Sigzel is like somebody comes to Sigzel and is like, "Hey, we have an issue over here," and they go and they see an Else Gate pulling in more troops, and they see Moash,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Ugh.
And Vienta's like, "That looks like it's Dagon Arthas," and that's really it. That's
Yeah.
Sigzel does some cool stuff. It may not have been at this point, but Sigzel does cool fighting. Let's read and find out. And
Yeah.
then,
He gets.
yeah. Oh,
He
we were
still doesn't have his plate, which drives me crazy because he feels so close to plate. Like in so many of these moments where he's like, "Oh, I can't protect everybody," and I'm like, "You know what you're supposed to accept. You can't. Plate would be really helpful in this battle."
did because early in the book they say that like Kaladin spoke his fourth ideal, but nobody knows what the words were. Like
Oh,
he
I don't
didn't
know
tell
if he.
anybody.
Yeah.
Is that something I remember? I'm not sure. We can look that up later. Somebody in the comments. Um, man, there's so much to go through in this book. We're gonna change pace. Um, and we're gonna start hitting the highlights because we are running out of time, right?
Let's do it.
So, like Trevor had in his little chapter summary, right? Adolin continues to lead the defense, and Notum joins the war efforts. Notum's like, I heard a call to help, and Adolin is like, that must be Maya, and then it's like, well, you can't really do anything, Notum. And then he was like, well, I can be a messenger that nobody else can see,
Mhm.
and I was like, that's so clever. I
It is
like where
really
this is
clever.
going. The best part of Kaladin and Szeth's present time is Kaladin realizes that Szeth is not Kaladin. Szeth is Szeth is Tien. Szeth and finds his little stuffed Molly toy from where
Yeah.
his bunk used to be, and Szeth's spren disappears, and the day concludes with or that part of the day concludes with Nail showing up. And
Hmm. Got
I
reinforcements.
I really loved that ending. I was like, I can't stop reading now.
Yeah. Yeah. It
It
is
was
awful and wonderful at
yeah,
literally the same time.
one of
It
the
does also,
go ahead.
I was going to say, it leads to one of my favorite comedic character moments, which is like realizing that Kaladin can seemingly only relate to people through Tien. It's like, oh, Elokar, that's Dalinar's Tien. Szeth, oh, that you're Tien. Okay, I get it now. So like, it's like he can't really understand you until he's like, no, wait, how do you relate to Tien in this? Oh, Amram, you're the kind of guy that sacrifices Tiens, and you know, it's just like everything relates back to Tien. I think it's so funny.
That's really funny. That's good.
Oh,
Do you do you remember what Nail says when he shows up? Does he say anything?
oh, it's got to be something like. So isn't it something like I see the help that you're providing, or yeah, like he's critiquing Kaladin, I think. Um, do you have a chapter reference for that?
I might. 66.
Nice. Yeah. What is this feeling so sudden and new? Yeah, Szeth, just real quick. Szeth
Yeah.
wasn't the young man who had gone to war determined to save and protect. He was the child who had been ripped from his peaceful life, then transformed into a killer against his will, a scared little boy who just yearned to go home. Oh,
Damn.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I have come to accompany you on your quest, as I have been told that you need minding.
I I have a weak spot for whatever trope it is where like an antagonistic character or even a villain, but not really a villain, but an antagonistic character joins the hero either in the way that they're fully on board or it's just like they're stuck with them. I'm a big sucker for that. So I was very excited when that started happening. Now, Dalinar and Navani and Shallan and co, they got to the point where they are seeing the beginnings of the Oath Pact being formed.
Yeah.
They've jumped forward in the future a bit from their last vision. They meet Elodin, the Parshendi, uh,
LOD.
Elodie,
Yeah.
who is definitely L, right?
Yeah. I thought you
Uh,
were gonna go the other way. Like definitely not L. Wink.
yeah, no, definitely. Like you can tell because okay, it's not Zeth's sister Elid. It's the only other character who has the first two letters EL.
Yeah. Well, and in his interlude talks about killing a friend, and in
Right.
this flashback, they're talking about your friend Elodie. So I mean, there's
Yep.
Sanderson's making it as plain as can be made without coming out and saying Elodie, who would later be called L. Because nobody knows that. Like nobody knows both of those facts that's in these POVs to
That's right.
go
Which is
and
yeah,
tell us that information.
right. Right. And man, there's so much going on with the people in the spiritual realm, but ultimately they don't succeed at whatever they're trying to do. And right before they fail, they grab what do they grab to go into the future? They grab is it an
Isn't
honor
this
blade?
so I know that was his plan. I was trying to remember if in this portion he actually got a hold of it. Let's see.
Yes. Yep. It is
Okay, he does get the honor blade as an anchor.
yes. I don't remember who he was playing in the vision. But they had actually used they'd used Shalash's hairband to go several skips. We
Yeah.
see several scenes play out, getting up to the Oath Pact being formed. People are like, no, we probably shouldn't do that. But then things change, and then they're like, well, the Parshendi are going to attack us. We need to expand. And then Nail seems to be antagonistic to the group of other Oath Pact people, um, along with Talm. Nail and Talm, they're both
Yeah.
Makabak, if I remember correctly. And they were like, well, if we're going to do this, we need somebody who um, can give a counter perspective. And so
Yeah.
Dalinar and company find Taln, who is a little flabbier than his future self. He was dismissed from front lines and forbidden weapons as the last time he convened with gods, he had tried to kill cultivation.
Love it. So good. I want
What?
to know what happened. Book 8 flashback. Here we come.
Yeah. Way to tease. Way to tease. Yeah.
I think it's great that they see Tanavast as the one who brought war and death to their planet, not odium.
Right?
It's fascinating.
I want to know more about that too.
Hmm.
And I know I expect Shalash and Talon's flashbacks will get us there. But man, a lot more questions popped up than were answered.
Yeah, I saw a great theory today that we'll get some folks else calling over to Ashen in book 6 through 10 and like talking to the people there and getting like information or even like reinforcements like, hey, the god that did this to your world is over there and he's about to do it to the whole, that kind of like just an option that hadn't really occurred to me because the people that we've been interacting with have not had that as an option.
Sure.
um I have a theory I can't talk about right now, so
Dang.
I'll put
Yeah,
that on the back burner.
same. Same. I was about to say something very spoilery, and that would have been bad.
Yup.
Yeah, were there
um
Formless came back, and I
yeah.
know that you really hated when I brought that up when we were doing the chapter readings. Was it
Oh, which part? I don't think I
uh
did.
I
Maybe.
I suggested that Formless was going to come back and you were like, "No, let's just leave Formless in Rhythm of War." And
Oh,
I was so certain.
yeah. I mean, I really liked Shallan's arc in this book of I kill my mentors. I think it is a really those important to me. Um, it's a really powerful through line for her, and Formalist does a great job of highlighting that and kind
Yeah.
of throwing it in her face.
Yeah. And then yeah, we also get Relaine revealing an image of him and Renarin kissing. Uh,
Hmm.
that was funny.
Yeah, we be careful with your Truth Watcher illumination practice.
Yep. Got to be careful. Um, were there any other big Renarin could determines he can use his light weaving to show people's souls because they're like, who's who? And then Renarin's like, well, maybe I can use my light weaving to determine who's who.
Yeah.
And
And the other way of like how it's just beautiful, like poor little not poor little, but like it is Renarin's experience to live a life in a world where everyone else seems to know the script and he doesn't. And now in the spiritual realm, Gliss can be like, all right, now this is what you say, and this is what they're gonna say. And like he is now the only one who knows the script and nobody else knows what they're supposed to say.
that's
And I just thought it was a
that's
great
a
little
nice res
turnabout. I
yeah,
liked that a lot.
nice reversal. That's good. If there's anything we missed from day 5 that you're like, why didn't you talk about that? Leave it in the comments and we'll talk about it 2 episodes from now because we'll record the next episode before that one comes out. Let's go.
Because it was over 100 pages.
Yeah. Um, the epigraphs, was there anything else from Endowment that stood out to you other than Valor's hiding?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It is. I would say the most textual evidence we've ever gotten on page that Hoyd plans to resurrect Adonalcium.
Oh, okay.
I think and you could take it a lot of different ways. I think I've heard people say things like he wants to bring back someone he loved or something like that. I don't think there's enough evidence for that. I think that's like a logical next step, but um, I would say when Endowment says, "Do you want me to announce what your plan is?" And then stay on your word. Let me get to it. Um, gosh, I tell you, she does not want to see you. It's not been too long. No, I don't think it will ever be. So, I mean, that would tell me that Hoyd and Valor had some interaction in the
Right.
past, like post post cell devotion dominion being splintered, but maybe like after he leaves Roshar, but before he comes back, somewhere in that 10,000 year. So be content to play with your toys on their world of storms, or do I have to broadcast what I have learned of your goals? I certainly do not think it a coincidence that you have made a special study of the worlds where legends abound of the dead being raised. You feign altruism, but you have another motive, do you not? Well, you always have. So that to me implies Hoyd's true goal is bringing back a legend, bringing back someone who is dead. Adonalcium seems like the most important person that Hoyd was involved in the death of. So that's kind of where I think, if you want to make that argument, these epigraphs are probably the best in-text evidence for it.
Sure. Yeah, that's the argument that I like to make. So that works. That works for me.
A lot of people seem to regret it now. Like we're getting a lot more discussion about it and things. So, you know,
Wait, regret?
Adonalcium.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hoyd seems to speak of it a lot more sorrowfully, especially in the secret projects.
Yes. Yeah. And it almost seems if Hoyd is going through and seeing all these stories, who better to take over the mantle of a god than somebody who has lived hundreds, if not thousands of lifetimes experiencing the best and worst of what the
Mhm.
Cosmere has to offer?
Sure.
Maybe?
Yeah. Could
Yeah.
be. I think the Iriali are also a really good argument. The one who have splintered themselves into the whole people and they go from planet to planet. I think they're a good candidate for whatever's going to happen, but
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
who knows?
So out of
We'll be 70 probably when we get the answer to that question.
yep.
Approximate.
Remember 30 years ago when I said Hoyd was gonna become Adolnasium? No, what did you say? It's on the YouTube.
Apparently it was Venley.
It
Could you
always
imagine?
was. Always was. Venley plus a chasm friend. The two of them. The perfect combination.
I love it.
Sure. What was your favorite moment in day five?
It's got to be Szeth and the sheep. There's so many great ones. There's so many amazing little bits and pieces. Um, I would say the standout moment as a fan was that Venley's chapter page, like the first page, was leaked by India Amazon. And
Oh
so it's
yeah.
actually like the first page that I read of Wind and Truth. Because I was like, yes, let's see what's going on. It's like three paragraphs. So that'll always stand out. But I would say Szeth and the sheep and Kaladin realizing really what's going on there. That's a wonderful moment. It's very sweet.
I agree. Um, we didn't talk about this, but Dalinar realized that did Dalinar realize that Gavinor is in the spiritual realm in this one? It's
Yes.
a feeling of it, right?
He's like, is that Elokar? Is that an old man? Is that a child? Is that and then he's like, it moves on. And then Navani is the one who
Right.
actually finds him.
Yeah.
Um,
I liked that bit a lot.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I like the idea that there's connections to everybody. Um, yeah, that just speaks to me. But also Diagon Arthas bringing in Elsgate or being in Elsgate and bringing in people. That was pretty badass to imagine. So,
Yeah. I want to know what the cost was, right? Teravangian talks about being willing to pay the cost.
well, we're gonna find out in book 6 through 10.
Right? It'll almost certainly be like Digonarthus is going, all right, now you owe me what you promised.
Yep. And then he's gonna be like, no, 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 I can unmake you. And then
Hmm.
Digonarthus is like, I am already unmade. And then Taravangian's like, ah, damn it. And then Digonarthus will be like, I'm gonna go team up with my other siblings and take you down. That's what it's gonna be. It's gonna
I love
be
it.
a point of tension, guaranteed.
Yeah. I mean, we already have Ja Anat who's going rogue.
Yep.
So absolutely the stage is set for unmade fused thunderclasts? Question mark. When's our first thunderclast gonna go rogue and be like, wait, why am I following you? I shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll end that there. So I'll say my bit, and then you can say the end bit
Ooh.
if you remember, right?
Yeah.
Life before death, strength before weakness.
Deku before All Might. It's gonna be
I've got
super
to go
niche.
beyond my limits. Go
I
beyond plus ultra. Oh, nice.
yeah.
I love My Hero Academia so much.
Oh, have you finished the manga?
I've not finished the manga. I
Okay.
am solely an anime watcher at this moment.
I
So
think
I
that's probably
finished.
good.
Yeah,
I'm hopeful that sometimes anime are able to kind of sculpt the ending of a manga and fix some of the pacing issues and things that anytime you do a war arc. I mean, I'm a
sure.
Naruto fan. Like I survived reading through the War of
Oh
Naruto
God.
chapter to chapter, week to week.
How did you do it?
I don't know. My brother and I were super into it, and so
Okay.
it was it's you're like a busy. I don't know. I think that was like late high school, early college when that was happening, and so it's
Oh,
like, oh
okay.
yeah, like I have a like I'm not like just I was like, oh cool, I can go read a bunch of chapters. Was not thrilled with the ending, but I think if you shape and sculpt a little bit, it'll be better. But
Sure.
I
Okay.
I think overall like I liked the ending arc. There are just pieces. I'm like, I wouldn't have done that. I don't love
Sure.
that.
Sure.
What was your super spoilery thing you were gonna say earlier?
Let me stop the recording.